Back to the polished draft, part 5. We're talking about deep POV. This is deep point of view of your character and in your story. And we're again looking at The Last Wave Sun, my unpublished novel that's still in rough draft form, to make sure that we can look at this. And again, I'm Kyle Young, and hopefully I can teach you a little bit about deep POV and how it can help you in that polished draft, that draft right before you send it out to an agent or editor or publisher. And hopefully you do these things in this polished draft, and it will help you get your story published and or purchased, and any combination of those things. What I'm doing here is I'm going through Weed Word's exhaustive list, and in that list I have kind of a non-exhaustive POV list called on the second page, and we're going to look at just a few of these words and kind of see how they work in story and what you should look for. But what I try to do in my stories is I search for POV filter words, words that are common ways that we leave the character's mind and become more of a narrator. And when you're writing in a third person or first person, you want to stay inside the character's head so that actions that happen are the character's actions that the character perceives from inside of his own mind. And the words that are said are also the words that are said, and the whatever the character experiences, they can only experience what they can see, touch, taste, or feel. But the character would never leave and go in and narrate and talk about himself in third person. He would always talk about himself as if it's happening to him. And I'll give you some examples. The first thing you want to do is you want to eliminate every usage of sense verbs or sensing verbs, either way. And right here I have Avo held his breath. Or this would be a thinking verb. Avo held his breath. He knew it would take a miracle. This is his thought. He knew it would take a miracle, but secretly he waited to hear his name announced. What I would change this to, I would take he knew out, and I would say Avo held his breath. It would take a miracle, but he secretly waited to hear his name announced. That makes it a stronger sentence because it's describing what is going on inside Avo's head without telling you that he knew it. You already know it because he's saying it in his own kind of mind. It's happening. Another one is down here. Avo's heart sank. He couldn't believe it. He knew he was better than that boy. I would change this to he couldn't believe it. He was better than Amel, which if you watch the other videos, you know that I needed to change that to Amel. And he doesn't have to say he knew it because that's a narrator perspective. We want to be in deep POV. So there's a couple there. Let's look at another of the thinking verbs. Let's see. We'll go to realized. Here. We have Avo realized he left his firestone in the bedroom. Searching his pockets, Avo realized he left his bedroom. I would need to change this because I'm going to narrator. It's almost as you're looking at the person having this experience instead of being in the person's head. I need to change it to talk about how Avo patted his pockets, and then I wouldn't say realize. Avo patted his pockets. His heart began to beat faster upon the realization that his firestone was left in his bedroom. It's a different way to say it. I can still use the word realization, but I'm now saying it in a different way. Searching his pockets, they were empty. He'd left his firestone in the bedroom. Or, oh no, he'd left his firestone in the bedroom. Not again. It's a better sentence. It's stronger, and it allows me to stay in my character's head and be able to allow my reader to experience the story as if they were the lead character in this book. Let's see. Let's go to another way. So we had thinking words: realize, knew. There's others. There's heard. There's thought. But let's look at some other words, some sense verbs, and sensing kind of verbs. And let's look at the word felt, which is very common. I see it all the time. Its breath felt cold as a blustery belch from a cannon in the frigid mountains. I would take out felt here and just say its breath, cold as a blustery belch from a canyon in the frigid white mountains. Taking out that one word kind of makes it more of a descriptive sentence, but also makes it a better, neater sentence. And it would take that felt out because as soon as I say felt, now I'm a narrator talking about what he's going at, but I want to describe it as if it's happening to him. And the cold liquid felt soothing. I could just say the cold liquid soothed his tired face. He was relieved it was over. It's better because his face is tired. He feels it and he's experienced it. And I don't have to use the word felt here to describe that emotion. or that feeling. And the last one I'll do here is I did felt. Let's do watched. That's another common one. Avo watched one of the new wave sons carry the bag from the Lord. Because a bag was being given out, each boy chosen was given 500 gold. Someone got the gold. I don't need to say Avo watched. I just would need to start the sentences. One of the new wave sons carried the bag from the Lord. Simple. Or one of the new wave sons left the stage carrying the hefty bag from the Lord. I'm saying the same thing, but because it's happening, Avo is seeing it. So you're just getting a description of what he's seeing with his own eyes, that one of the wave sons carried it. You're kind of following the story with what Avo is seeing as it's happening, because you're in the main character's head. And for your reader, it's as if they're the main character and it's happening to them too. So those are, you want to kind of eliminate every uses of thinking verbs, of sensing verbs, and you want to replace them with stronger description. But you also, one thing, and I don't know that I've found it in here, but you don't want to name emotions. When you say something like he felt angry, or he was terrified, or every time you try to name an emotion, you're actually leaving the character's mind and becoming that narrator. You want to allow your character to experience that emotion, experience that feeling, and allow your character to experience along with them with proper and healthy description, and not try to use the kind of the crutch or the lazy method of just saying or naming that emotion. So make sure that you don't name any emotions in your story. Hope that helps you with deep POV. We'll have one more quick lesson about repetitive words and how to find those, and also about character name search coming up in part 6.